Mesh Festival.
Radio podcast by Film Explorer.
Mesh Festival for Kunst UND Technology.
Radio podcast by Film Explorer.
Film Explorer.
Welcome to Film Explorer podcast series extended. My name is Giuseppe Salvatore, editor of Film Explorer. It's a pleasure today to be at the Mesh Festival in Basel, the first edition, new festival dedicated to art and technology, new media, or sometimes to say. And it's a pleasure to welcome Sissel Tonn, Danish artist based in the Netherlands. Can you probably say yourself something more about you, about your path?
Yeah, I actually come from film and media. My bachelor is in film and media studies from University of Copenhagen. And then I spent quite a few years just freelancing as a videographer. I was living in Toronto at the time and started getting more and more into more experimental video, but also VJing. So kind of, using film in different contexts that were less sort of tied with the film history that I was learning about, and being a lot more experimental and exploring. And then in 2012, I was thinking, okay, I want to give this being an artist a shot. But I probably need to go to art academy because that's what you do. I thought at the time, and then I found this this master's program in the Netherlands called artistic research, and that was kind of fascinating to me. I didn't really know what it was. I don't know if I still know what it is, but I got into this program and moved to the Netherlands from Canada. And have been working with visual media and interactive technologies, and all of my projects are deeply rooted in research around ecological phenomena. When I went to this master's was also when this idea of the Anthropocene became really big, with Haus der Kulturen der Welt made a big program around this concept. So that was really the context that I got this this introduction to the art, to the world of art and research, and that's kind of stuck with a lot of my projects. But a lot of them focus very deeply on the sensation of living in a partly man-made environment. One of my first projects was about the earthquakes in the north of the Netherlands that are due to gas drilling, and what does it mean to live with and sense an earthquake that's made by gas extraction rather than by tectonic activity. So that's kind of like the path my work is still taking.
It's something very close to the interests of Film Explorer anyway, because we are also starting with film. We have a magazine with film reviews in a way classical level, but at the same time we are very interested in the expanded cinema and what is possible to do with film in the space. And that leads probably to your two works that you are showing here, because one is a film that will be screened. This is screened here in a little cinema, so to say, in a theater, and another one is an installation. And so, probably speaking about mainly this installation that you create, what is for you the advantage or the strength or the interesting aspect in working with environment, I would say, because you create really something. There is a video in this installation, in the space created by Herzog and Demeron. But at the same time, there is something interactive. There is something very sensorial, as you were saying before. So, how was your approach to the space actually?
Well, just actually to then backtrack again to the way that I came from film and then moved into interactive installation. That was actually because I got a concussion in the final year of my master's program, and I had to graduate, and I had planned to make a film, but suddenly I couldn't look at screens. And then I started becoming really interested in immersive and tactile installation and thinking about what kind of story you could tell through other senses than the visual. So a lot of that required me to work with DIY technologies, with sensor technologies, but also with vibration and tactility and materiality. And then the film actually was the film that I'm showing here, called Becoming a Sentinel Species, was actually a return to film in 2020, because I was working with two scientific researchers and we were pitching for a project for something called the BioArt and Design Award. And through our conversations, we really ended up talking about their research, but in the realm of science fiction. So they were an immunologist and an ecotoxicologist, and they were working on research into what might happen to our immune system when it encounters microplastics in the bloodstream. And this was a very sort of distressing topic to be researching, and I felt that they needed, in a way, like a space, a collaborative art science space to speculate and to imagine. So we ended up going science fiction route, and then film, also because it was during lockdown, was the best way. And I actually really enjoyed coming back to the storytelling aspect that is so readily available in film, and the control you have of telling a very carefully thought out story. But after a few more films, I kind of found myself missing a little bit this indeterminacy that can happen when you have an interactive installation and you're really dependent on how people kind of like perceive it and how they move through it. And a lot of things can go wrong, but also you can tease out some experiences that is in a way new, or in a way you can't get to in through more visual languages, at least for me. So around that time, I heard about game engines. I'm not a gamer, so I didn't really know how games were made, but somebody told me about game engines, and I became really fascinated by this, whether I could find some kind of balancing act between this more deterministic storytelling, which I think is also very powerful, very good way of getting sort of our affective register into a subject matter, but then also having opportunities for things to have its own life and go into completely unexpected directions. So the Sentinel Self, which is the installation you're referring to, it's actually a live simulation of immune system. It borrows some concepts from immunology, but also from freshwater ecology. And the world that you see that's populated by all of these little agents, these little critters, have actually all been programmed to sort of have their own agency and will, and they're sort of floating around this ecosystem trying to keep an equilibrium. So when there's too many pathogens, they try to go there and get rid of the pathogens. And the way that you can connect with it is through your heart rate. So the heartbeats of the visitor is also kind of driving the will, the collective will of these agents in the simulation. And that was a way for me to try and create like an ecosystem that could surprise me as well, and do strange things, because I also didn't program it. I had to work together with somebody to come up with how could we make this system, and that was really exciting. I still don't think it tells a very clear story, so I'm still working on like how can I also bring this element of storytelling and the element of drawing you in through storytelling. But I know, of course, that game engines and the way that artists are using game engines now have so much potential for that.
Yeah, I would like to pick up two keywords, or two words that actually you mentioned. One is indeterminacy, and the other one is materiality, because it's something that for me, at least, discovering artworks here in Mesh Festival, it's something relatively new in the sense that the classical perception of new technology or technology in general in art is something that is relatively determined, relatively clear, precise, and far from material experience because or physical because it's more digital and actually what is quite interesting I feel here is this aspect this aspect of indeterminacy, this aspect that is bound to the performance or the performative aspect of several works, interactive in your case, at the same time even the physical aspect. I mean, your works focus a lot on biology. This is something that is not only your work or even other works approach. So, because one of the keyword that we got from the curator, from one of the curator team, Nina Lichty, was commonality. So, how is your experience now of the Mesh Festival? I mean, did you find, for example, with these two keyword, a sort of commonality with other works? How is your how do you say reverberance in yourself about the other artworks?
Yeah, I mean, even if in the space, I always forget what the name is where we're exhibiting, Herzog and
Demerol, yeah.
Demerol, which is a beautiful space. It's really such a treat to be able to exhibit there. And then I'm exhibiting together with Eloise Vaux and Cream on Chrome, and both of their works also, I think, fits extremely well with the general theme that's in that little exhibition space. It's very intimate. There's not too much to take in. It's really like seems very carefully curated, and you have time to sit with it. And of course, Cream on Chrome's work is also about keeping ecosystems in balance and playfully kind of bring in the idea of stock markets and how you can use the language of stock market to keep ecosystems. And then Eloise's work is really like this poetic exploration of alien life. So I felt really fortunate to be in that space. And then actually so many of my friends are here, so from the UK and from Berlin, and I keep like bumping into people that I didn't know were going to be here. I just met my friend Marco Donnarumma, and I was like, what are you doing here? So I think there's definitely like a commonality in the way that they've been curating a lot of people who are into the same things and are in the same networks. Not that I feel like it's insular at all, but it's just like a really beautiful and diverse sprawling program. So that's really exciting for me.
Yeah, thank you very much for your to be with us and discuss with us about your works. We'll continue now to discover the Mesh Festival and the other artworks and speaking with the curators. There is also an interesting part that is conferences and presentations. So you're also taking part to this?
Yeah, I'm gonna go up there real soon, and
you think also it's quite important to have this discursive dimension.
Yeah, and they're also giving a space to PhD students that are opening their career into this field of academia, which I also think is really nice. So I got to see some of those as well, which I wish I had more time to be part of the of the conference program, but between building up and all kinds of other things, it was a bit hard.
Thank you very much, Sissel.
Thank you. Thanks.
Mesh Festival.
Radio podcast by Film Explore.
Mesh Festival for Kunst UND Technology.
Radio podcast by Film Explore.
Film Explore.